Hello, in this video we are looking at Ratana Sutta, verse 4. Khayang viragam amatam pranitam yadajhaga sakyamuni samahito natena dhammena samattikinchi idampi dhamme ratanam panitam. I will now give it to you with the text up. Here we are. Khayang viragam amatam panitam yadajhaga sakyamuni samahito natena dhammena samattikinchi idampi dhamme ratanam panitam. In the first line, first pada, the first half line, we have these four nouns, all in the accusative, two masculine accusatives, two neuter accusatives, but all ending in The syntax of this sentence may be slightly difficult to analyze in a strict grammatical way, because it is the kayam viragam amatam panitam, the cessation, the dispassion, the deathless, the sublime. Yed ajhaga sakyamuni samahito, yed which, Sakyamuni, the sage of the Sakyas, samahito, in a state of samadhi, ajhaga, which is realized. So the object of ajhaga appears to be yed, but if the object of ajhaga is yed, then the kayam viragam amatam panitam are not themselves the objects. Though grammatically they should have some verb that governs them, because here we have kayam and viragam in the accusative. Of course, amatam panitam, we wouldn't know if they're in the nominative or the accusative, looking at them on their own, because both of these are neuters anyway. In fact, they're both adjectives, but used as nouns, neuter nouns. So from the form of these words, both ending in you cannot tell whether they're whether they're nominative or accusative. But from the form of kayam and viragam, you can tell that they're in the accusative because the nominatives would be kayo and virago. So the syntax is a little bit loose here. And I would have expected to see nominatives in the first line. If you say these four things, the kaya, the cessation, the viraga, the dispassion, the deathless, the sublime, the panita, sublime, the unequaled, have no counterpart, have no equal. And so this, let's simplify it, this kayo natena dhammena sama. So there's nothing equal to that dhamma. So we can't even say there's nothing equal to the dispassion, to the cessation rather, because it specifically says there's nothing equal to that dhamma. So it's a bit of a syntactical limbo. I don't think it matters, especially we just have to accept that that does occasionally happen in Pali poetry. Basically, is saying that the Sakyamuni, the Muni, the sage of the Sakyas, samahito, in a state of samadhi, ajhaga, realized these four things. And then, as a new sentence, a new proposition, there is nothing equal to that Dhamma, to this teaching taught by the Buddha. And idampi dhamme ratanam panitam, this very thing is what is this sublime jewel within the Dhamma. So hopefully I haven't made too much of a meal of this slight syntactical anomaly. It doesn't actually matter. Just if you can't quite work out why it is what it is, don't worry. I've been a little bit puzzled too, and there does seem to be a certain degree of anomaly there. So kayam, it's from the Sanskrit root kshi. I've actually done a note on it in the uh, explanatory glossary, which I shall call up. Come on, explanatory glossary. Here we are. So it's from the root. Oops, sorry, I've lost it again. It's from our root kshi, meaning to perish. And it's a class 5 and class 10, class 9 verb in Sanskrit, with krinoti and krinati. And in Pali, we have both kinoti and, more commonly, kinati. Past participle, kshina and kina. And it makes its verbal noun kraya kaya, meaning destruction. And most typically in the sense of destruction of all that's negative, destruction of the faults, the taints, the defilements, and so on. So we see in Sanskrit the dosha kraya, meaning the work done on the destruction of one's faults, which would be dosakaya in Pali. So here in the verse we're looking at, this kaya, destruction, we have to understand destruction of what? Destruction of everything that's impure, negative, cankers, etc. Viraga, dispassion. Again, I've done a note on this in the glossary. I'll call it up. It's that from that word originally meaning meaning a color, and then a passion. And it's that from that same root actually we have the word rajas, dust, those with but little dust in their eyes. So viraja, then virata, together with this dust meaning in the root, it also has the meaning of color and also rage and anger. In fact, the words rage and rabid, the bug permutation that you get in historical etymology, rabid, rabbia in Italian, rage, modern English rage, French la rage. In fact, French la rage means rabies. So that sense of rage there. And the viraga, so it comes to mean passion in Sanskrit and Pali, along with some other meanings. That's the primary one. So viraga, with the separative prefix v, means getting rid of one's passion. So dispassion, the v and the Latin dis are actually cognate prefixes. So here we are from the same raga. The imagery is taking on the color of something. You know, whatever it is that's affecting you emotionally, you, as it were, take on that color. And the absence of raga, I said, is viraga. So we've got the kayam viragam amatam panitam, I've dealt with these earlier. Amatam in Sanskrit, it is the amritam, the mri root meaning death, cognate with the Latin mor, as in mortal. In fact, cognate also with our English word moor, M-O-O-R, the one meaning high uplands, and called the moors. It originally meant actually the dead lands because they were high, exposed, generally rough grass, and it was impossible or at least very difficult to cultivate up there. That's why they were called the moors, the dead lands, difficult to grow things. Amatam and Pernita, we of course had earlier. So Kayam Viragam Amatam Panitam Yad just means which. Sakyamuni, the sage of the Sakya clan, Samahito in Samadhi, Adjaga, that's Adhi Aga. And I've explained this. Yeah, this is a root aorist. Probably not worth going into the detail of it now, but look up at Perniola at paragraph 83, and that will explain it from the root not gum but ga, which is essentially the same root, just variants of the same root. So aga went, adhi aga becomes ajaga. I'll just explain that better. I'll call up my iPad. Come on, iPad. So we're looking at ajaga. So we've got the root ga, and we have a very simple past. This is third person singular. Aga went. Now, where you have, and this is called the augment, this a in front of a verb, nothing to do with the negating a. Purely coincidental that they look the same. So aga just means went. Where you have a verbal prefix here, adhi, and we've got the root ga, and we want to put in this augment, the aga, it doesn't go before the prefix, it goes directly before the root, so it comes between the prefix and the root. So adhi aga. Now, if we were writing that in Sanskrit, sorry, the ia, of course, becomes ya by Santi, so it would be adhyaga. Now, as normal, what happens when you get a dhya, dhya in Pali? It becomes a double jh. Adhyaga, but it becomes adhyaga, which is just a phonetic variation of it, a phonetic mutation. So that's how we get adhyaga, Sanskrit adhyaga, Pali adhyaga, and so written. So that accounts for the double JH. Na kinchi. Kim what? Kinchi something. Na kinchi nothing. Not anything. So I'll just explain samahito. It's from the root dha, which means to place. Where you have this root dha at the end of a noun compound, it becomes a dhi. So we have to bring in together and to bring in and place together. Adha means to place towards yourself, to bring towards yourself. Samadha means to gather in. So we get the verb is sam plus a plus dha. Now let's make a noun out of that, and the dha becomes dhi, and that's what gives us samadhi. So the dhi at the end of samadhi is simply the verb root dha, which mutates to a di when it forms the last element of a compound noun like this verbal noun. Now, for the past participle, one would have expected to see dhata, the root plus ta. In fact, it's irregular because it's not dhata, it is hita. Sorry, I've just been writing on the iPad without showing it to you. My mistake. Sorry, sorry. Here we go. So how much of that did you miss? So ajhaga, ga with the augment aga, adhi aga, adhyaga, ajhaga. Now the root dha, verb samadha to bring it all in towards yourself, as it were, gathering and placing it in towards yourself. Where you have this final dha, becomes a di at the end of a compound noun like this. So samadha, verb, samadhi, noun. Past participle of dha is not dhata, but hitta. Now, hitta means, therefore, on its own as a pure past participle, it means put or placed. It often has the meaning of the benefit, that which is well placed. I mean, for somebody's benefit. And the Buddha taught for the benefit and happiness of the world, lokassa hitaya sukhaya. It's also used to mean as an adjective, beneficial. There's the well-known Sanskrit work, the hitopadesha, the hita upadesha, literally the good advice, often translated as the friendly advice. Anyway, the point I'm getting to here is samadhi makes now a past participial adjective. Samadhi becomes hitta. Samadha, samahita. So samahita is simply it's the same word, but this is the past participial form. Noun samadhi, past participle meaning being in a state of samadhi is samahita. So here we see that the Sakyamuni, the sage of the Sakyas, the Sakya clan, samahito, in a state of samadhi, ajhaga, realized this, that kayam viragam amatam panitam. So nakinchi samaati. We would have expected to see samam, nakinchi samam ati, because kinchi is treated as a neuter. Nothing is equal. Nakinchi samam atti is what you'd normally find in prose. Here we find that final M of the neuter deleted by poetic license. Here, as I've said, look, strictly, it should have been in the neuter form samam atti, which is what you would find in prose. And if you say something is equal to something, you use the instrumental of what it's equal or not equal to. So nakinchi, nothing, atti is samam, equal to what? Tena dhammena, to that dhamma. We say equal to something in English. In Sanskrit and Pali, you use the instrumental here. And as we had before, idampi ratanam panitam. Idampi dhamme ratanam panitam. It is this that is the Ratanam Panitam, this exquisite or sublime jewel, Ratanam Dhamme, in the Dhamma. And the final line, Etena Satchena Suvattihutu, is repeated throughout. So I'll just take you through the analysis once more. I think we could treat panitam as an adjective here governing kayam viragam amatam. This sublime or unequaled special destruction slash cessation, the kayam, viragam, dispassion, amatam, the deathless, yad ajhaga sakyamuni samahito, yad which Sakyamuni, the sage of the Sakyas, Samahito, in a state of samadhi, Ajhaga, realized, literally went on top of, Adhi, above, Ga, go. sorry I was interrupted by a call in the middle of the recording. I think I just finished the analysis of the final analysis of the first line. Now going to the second line, natena dhamena samati kinchi, na kinchi, or na atti kinchi, na not, atti is kinchi anything, there is not anything, samam equal, tena dhammena to that teaching. As I said, instrumental in Pali and Sanskrit and English, we'd say equal to. And of course, we have in prose, this samati. Samati would be samam atti. And then what we've had before, idam bidhame ratanam panitam. This very thing, this is what it is, idam pi. This is the panitam ratanam, the exquisite jewel in the Dhamma. So I'll just read it through once more before we wind up this video. Khayam viragam amatam panitam yadajjaga sakyamuni samahito natena dhammena samatti kinchi idampi dhamme ratanam panitam. And once more. Khayam viragam amatam panitam yadajjaga sakyamuni samahito natena dhammena samatti kinchi idampi dhamme ratanam panitam. And that's it on this video.